Hello, welcome to a new edition of news, and I've decided to talk about what's going on in South Africa. In this video, let's talk about what's going on. So, 20 years ago, the end of apartheid happened in South Africa. The creation of a rainbow nation where blacks and whites had equal rights. So you could both vote and decide who got into power. However, it seems to me the government has decided to do some sort of land grab reform without monetary compensation. What that means is, providing the law comes in and gets ratified by the government, you could quite easily lose your land if you're white South African. There's been many attacks, heinous crimes in South Africa. I would put it that many people have been tortured. An example, and I do apologise if this sounds quite horrific, but just imagine a family, a white family who own a farm, quite successful, where some black Africans have come in to their house. They pin the child to the table in a crucified form and rape her. Rape the mother, possible other siblings, making the father see it all, and then before they're finished with that, they'll slit his throat and he obviously will die. But that's not the end of the assault, or what I would call massacre. They would literally cut his body up into pieces and burn it. So I would consider that a form of genocide, because you're wiping out a family. You're wiping out the children, so obviously they can't avenge their father's death. And this is happening all over South Africa. And with these new land grab reforms that the government are trying to ratify, they will have the power to take your land and you will not receive any money from the government. So in effect, you will become homeless, penniless and very poor. And this is happening all over Africa, well, South Africa in particular. But what I do want to say is, this seems to be like apartheid, but it's like the pendulum has gone the other way. So this time it's the black Africans who are actually being racist towards the whites. Now, many people will say white people can't be racist. The left will always tell you that you can't be racist towards white people because that's not the done thing. It's generally the other way around. Whites are racist to other races. But in South Africa, this is happening. And it's quite obvious to me that a civil war will happen. At some point, the farmers will realise the government are there to take their land, and if they don't give their land up, they will be killed. And many black Africans are actually taking it upon themselves to do this before the government decide to ratify it by law. And it does seem to me that very shortly anarchy will reign in South Africa. But one thing that many people are not realising is, white South Africans, right, produce the food for South Africa. So if you get rid of those farms, how will South Africa feed itself? It won't. And then what you'll find is the West will end up having to support South Africa, send food there because they'll be on the breadline and they'll become even poorer than they are now. So I just wanted to highlight this in this video to say that it seems obvious to me that the white people there will at some point decide that the government wants to screw them. And they will decide right, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die fighting. And they're already starting to get armed. In fact, an ex-Israeli Special Forces guy is over there training them how to fight with weapons. So, and because I feel the police there is quite poorly equipped, I don't think the police force in South Africa is equipped to fight the white farmers on a level playing field. So no doubt South Africa will be forced to use the army against these white farmers. But something has come to light because of their plight. And Australia has offered asylum to these white farmers. But they came under attack by South Africa's global elites, and Australia is looking, or probably is going to rescind that offer. However, Russia has stepped up and said, we don't care, we will offer you asylum in Russia. And some have already gone there to build a new life. But what people got to understand is, the argument that black Africans use is that white people stole their land from them a long time ago. And that's not entirely accurate, because the white settlers that mainly came from Holland and Portugal, right, who settled in empty land. Now there was bush people that were there that were lighter skinned than black Africans are, and they got along, and there was a treaty brought up so they could live together in peace. What happened is there was a migration of black Africans from central Africa, so they basically came down and eventually met the white settlers. And then at some point the British colonists attacked and conquered some land as well. So I'm not saying that no land was not conquered and taken from black Africans. But what I'm saying is, not all the land that black Africans claim belongs to them either. If any land is to be said to belong to anyone, it would be the lightly skinned bush tribes that were there. So I just wanted to highlight this point. And there is one thing I want to say that I don't think it's been discussed. It's commonly thought of that white people in South Africa took land from black Africans, and black Africans want to take their land back. That's the whole point of the land grab initiative that the government want to basically do, take the land back. However, there is one question you need to ask. Should siblings, right, be punished for the crimes of their parents? So, if my grandfather did something heinous, should I be punished for his crime? The answer to that is no. You are a completely different person to your grandfather. So I think this whole argument of where they say, but you white people took our land from us and we want it back. But hang on a minute, let's just put myself in that white person's position and situation. But it was my great-great-granddad that did that. It wasn't me, so it's not my fault, is it? But you want to kill me and take my land away from me. Why should siblings or descendants be punished for the crimes of their ancestors? I don't think that's right, especially in a modern society. We should never do that, because that would be, well, it would open a whole can of worms. Essentially, you could be accusing the English for many crimes that they did over 1,000 years ago, and you're trying to punish their descendants for something they did a long time ago. It's really wrong that we should do that. My message to South Africa is, please don't punish the white settlers' descendants for the crimes of their fathers, because it's not right, and it's not fair, and it's not moral, and in the modern world we live in, it's not the done thing. If you decide to go down that route, civil war will erupt. Who will win that? Probably black Africans, because there's more of them. What will the white Africans do? They may decide to leave Africa altogether. The thing is, and I think this is a very important thing to understand, that these white Africans, right, are part of your economy. They help feed your country, and if you get rid of that, you may be able to train black Africans to replace them. But what will happen in the meantime? I suspect, and in fact this is the truth, many farms that have been taken over by black Africans have failed, and we must ask, what is going on? Why aren't they being trained up by the white African farmers? Rather than taking everything from white farmers, why don't you share it between them? The white Africans can train the new breed of black African farmers, and why can't we all live together in harmony and peace and work together to solve our problems, rather than it being them versus us? Hope this video was informative, and have a nice day.